Welcome to Vampire Radio! Hola, hola, hola. You are listening or watching Vampire Radio. Of course, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Shelly from Kelly. And I'm joined by the lovely podcast dog, Minnie the Moocher. And happy Labor Day, everyone. Today is Labor Day. This episode, once again, was supposed to go up on Friday, tardy, whatever. It's here, it's new, so get over it. I've had quite the day so far. First of all, I went out of town. I went and took a little excursion, a little 24-hour trip, if you will. I went to Crestline, California. It's up in the mountains, the San Bernardino Mountains. And earlier today, I post on all my platforms a very little, teeny weeny sneaky peek of what that was like. And here it is. There is no better way to wake up than in the freaking mountains. I tell you what. Happy Sunday Fun Day! Happy Labor Day! I got my little setup over there. Gonna do a podcast with my homie, Timmy Baltimore. In the meantime, I'm about to get my mind right here with little Minnie. And then a little bit after I'm done with Timmy, it's time to do Vampire Radio. So stay tuned. Like I said, a super little sneaky peek, but not a little sneaky peek nonetheless. I had a great time. It was my mom's birthday earlier in the week. So this was a little family gathering, a get together, if you will, to celebrate her birthday. And I went up on Saturday and had a great old time. Left on Sunday late. And now here I am Monday. And I was really hoping before I got into the weekend, I was going to be able, like I said, to have a new Vampire Radio, but it just didn't fit. That's what she said. Then today, I got to connect with my good old buddy, my good old pal from my OVW days, Mr. Timmy Baltimore. Now, Timmy has a podcast, Limping Ain't Easy. He does such a good job over there. I'm such a fan of his show. You got to go check it out. I linked it all here in the description below and on the screen so you can go see for yourself. So today when we were hanging out, we really got into it, and it was super, super cool because as I've said so many times here on Vampire Radio, doing these different podcasts, whether it's through Podstars or hooking up with my old buddies, it's like I walk away every single time discovering something new or figuring something out or connecting the dots. It has just driven me the F out. So long live the effing podcast is what I say. I believe Timmy's episode with me is going to be coming out on Wednesday. So stay tuned. Like I said, follow him on all the things and pay attention to my timeline because I'll definitely be putting it over brother or sister. So today I'm going to have another 90 Day Fiance Last Resort review for you. I'm going to have the awaited Vince Russo interview that I did that I had such a magical time. That's what it was. A magical time with Mr. Russo. And let's see what else we have time to get into. I have some topics that I'm ready to attack, but maybe there won't be time. So we will see. Are you guys ready? All right, let's get into Vampire Radio. And we're going to start off with a little music break. And when we come back, let's do a little 90 Day Fiance review, shall we? Okay, you guys, this part of the podcast is going to have to be just audio. And here's why. So weeks, yes, guys and gals, weeks ago, I recorded the 90 Day Fiancé Last Resort review to be in this portion of the podcast. And when I actually recorded it, as I was saying my review out loud, I started to become disgusted with what I was saying and what I was talking about. Then when I was editing it, it ended up being so long, like 30 minutes. So I was like, there's no way. Then when I was reviewing what I was saying again, I was over it. Now, I've said this before and I will say it again. These different quote unquote trash shows like 90 Day Fiancé, Before the 90 Days, Married at First Sight, The Last Resort, I enjoy watching them, not because I want to see drama and all this and that, but those shows have helped me so effing much in my personal life. They've helped me understand myself way more and in deeper ways that I never even thought of before. And then it's also helped me understand others. I'm one of these people, I saw a post, when was it, yesterday? And it's not the first time I've seen it. And it said something to the effect of, when you get bit by a snake, you don't chase the snake to be like, hey, why'd you bite me? While the venom is like already in you, right? And I know I'm messing this up, but this is just like the gist of it. So then it's like, so why do you want to go and chase people and be like, why did you do this? Like, what did I do wrong? It's like the same thing as like being poisoned. You're poisoning yourself because of the torment, pretty much, that you will go through possibly from trying to chase people down and be like, what did I do? I am so that person. I have worked really hard on that flaw I have. I still have a lot more work to do, but putting in the work, oh my gosh, it's a lot. And these shows have really helped me in the sense of, if they trigger me with a person, especially a friendship, because dudes they're supposed to screw me over, break my heart, hurt my feelings. But the homies aren't supposed to do that. Yeah, you're not always going to get along. You'll have little disagreements. When push comes to shove, they're supposed to have your back. At least in my opinion. That's the kind of friend I am. I never ask of people what I wouldn't put out myself. So that's who I am. So that's why I have these expectations of people who I think are this on the same vibe. And those are the friendships that hurt me the most. So that's where I go back to this. Why? What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Like, what happened here? I'm so blindsided. So these shows really played a role in helping me let go of that way of thinking and just continuing to work on myself, even if I don't have that quote unquote closure. Because some of these people on these different shows have triggered me so wholeheartedly of certain friendships that I've had and certain friends and those unresolved issues. And then because they're on TV and they're on this show and they're being more transparent maybe about a mental health thing, or this is being aware that they do a certain thing or whatever, that has made me be like, oh my gosh, that is exactly how so-and-so is. They can only meet me where they can meet me. As far as conversations go, you know, people can only meet you where they can meet you. And watching these shows, these quote unquote trash shows, helped me come to that realization. And once I realized people can only meet you where they can. That's why sometimes there's people be like, because one of the things that would drive me nuts is when I was really tight with somebody, no longer tight with them. I feel like I don't even know what I did. And time goes by and then I'll hear that that person's talking about me, but in a positive way. Oh, so-and-so says hi or da-da-da-da-da. Or I'll bump into them and they'll be like, oh my gosh, Shelly, I miss you. Hey. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So that's how I would go about it. There's people out there walking around. They're like Shelly's out of her mind or a bitch. And that's fine. Because at one point they've been a friend of mine really tight. I let them in. I was vulnerable. Right. And then when I feel out of nowhere, they just kind of like did a 180 on me. It's like, is it 180 or 360? 360 is the full circle, right? Not a half, the whole 360, you know, they did the turn, man. And then when I see them like at an autograph signing or at a wrestling show, oh, Shelly, I miss you. And there's times I'll be like, well, if you miss me, then why don't you text me back? And then all of a sudden the energy comes down and then they feel bad. And then it adds to my confusion of I see them looking at me right now. I feel their energy. They feel bad that I just said that. So what is that? So watching these shows have helped me understand that more. And I've always said that I will continue to watch these shows as long as that's what it does for me. But what I realized is when I did the second, it was only episode 2 review of The Last Resort. And when I watched it the first time around, it did so much for me. Okay. Like I'm telling you, that's why I was like, I'm going to rewatch this and do a review on my freaking podcast. That's why. But I found myself filled with anger from the moment the show started till it ended. And then when I was doing the review, the energy I was in, I just didn't like it. It made me feel like tight, like a ball of anger. And a lot of that has to do with because since The Last Resort, the last one was, or I don't know if it was the last one, but the one with Stacy and Florian and Jasmine and Gino, all those people, Julia and Brandon. When it was that one of the things I've talked about before is people, Jasmine in particular, I ended up liking by the end of the season, even though I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that she had going on the show. And I'm not condoning her behavior. I'm just saying I felt I understood her more and had compassion for her. Then fast forward to current days, I see what the liar and manipulator she was. And I didn't know that. So it got me all my feelings because of course it triggers people that I know in life like that. And right now I'm really going through a season of seeing people's true colors. So it's a touchy subject for me right now, any dang way. And it's just not fun and it's not serving me. It's a disservice. So I was like, dude, I gotta put something in place of this because I'm not going to put this out. It's pointless. I'm just not going to do the reviews anymore unless I feel like it later. We'll see. And then every single time I was like, because this podcast has been ready for 3 weeks, people. But this part I've been trying to record and it just hasn't happened. So here I am. It's Friday freaking morning. I haven't even had any coffee yet. And I'm recording this for you. But here's the good news. What I have coming up next is my interview that I had with Vince Russo a couple weeks, or almost a month ago. No, last month now. Oh my gosh. Last month. And let me just tell you something, sister, brother. First of all, the majority, spoiler alert, the majority of the interview with Russo, the majority of it isn't even there because we went off record too much and we went too deep and you guys just can't handle it. Okay. I've learned this. Look, I have the right to censor and I could censor myself if I want to. And I censored that interview because honestly, I feel the listeners for the most part can't handle it. And it wasn't meant. It was meant for me and Russo to have those conversations, but it was a great interview nonetheless. So coming up next, we have the long awaited, at least to my Secret Society and Vampire Radio VIPs interview, because they've known this. It's every single time I go to record this what you're listening to right now, because I was going to do a video. So that's what makes it harder, is I had to set everything up, blah, blah, blah. Something happened every time. And then I thought, maybe I just won't do anything. And I was like, no, dude, now it's incomplete. And I can't give an incomplete paper to you guys, a podcast paper, if you will, visually. Anyways, up next, Vince Russo interview with me. And then here's the other thing with the Vince Russo episode. It was on a Friday and it was 7 a.m. when we agreed for me to do the podcast, which is fine because I wake up at around 5 o'clock, right? So that day, I remember the night before, it was just a really rough night. I was tired. I had to get up earlier than usual, but I was fine with it. I had my makeup on, but I didn't have my hair done and I was still in my pajamas. And I told myself, I don't care. As long as I have a little bit of makeup on here and I got my coffee, I am fine. And so this whole Vampire Radio episode is so lucha. It's all over the place, but hopefully by the end, you'll love it. All right. Well, good morning, Mr. Russo. We were just chit-chatting. You got me up early today.
Well, listen, I am thrilled to be here. Listen, I'm going to teach you something because I don't think you realize this. You are a celebrity. You put a lot of years and a lot of hard work into the wrestling business. Therefore, you are a professional. You know about the business that a lot of people don't know. You can deliver information. You can educate people. You're not one of these dirt sheet hacks that think they know what they're talking about and don't have a clue. And, with that, I am a stern believer in there is a price for that. And that's why I learned a long time ago when people contact me to do a podcast. I mean, let's face it, unless it's Piers Morgan, I'm not going to benefit from your podcast. You're going to benefit from me being on your podcast. So I learned a long time ago, I charge for my time when I do a podcast. You're going to get the hits and you're going to get the clicks. I'm not going to benefit in any way. So I only do interviews now where basically I get paid and I put the time aside and we schedule it and I do it very professionally. But when my muse comes calling, I'm stopping everything. The only thing I asked you, and I felt very, very bad about, but we discussed it before the show, was I start very, very early. Because, I live in Colorado. I love living in Colorado. I love the summers. I go in my Jeep. I take the top off. And when you live in Colorado, like wherever you drive, there's mountains and there's scenery. And that's where I find exactly what you're doing. That's where I find my peace and my tranquility. So what I try to do is get all my work done in the morning, schedule everything really early. And as soon as I'm done fulfilling all my obligations and doing my podcast, I am in that Jeep and I am out on the road. So I knew, and you're an hour earlier than me. So I knew I was really backing you up, but I appreciate you doing this very, very early.
Well, as I mentioned to you before we were recording, I benefit from that because people always tell me, oh my God, you're up so early. It's still not even early enough. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I benefited from it. And people would always give me a hard time, but I didn't care. I was my best self when I was consistently waking up at 4 a.m., 4 to 4:30 given. And when I was that version of me, mind, body, and soul was more balanced. And I just felt the most me. And for years, I've been trying to get back to that version, but of course, wiser with all this experience I've had in life since then. But it's all started with getting up early and having that time. And I think that a lot of performers don't realize that they maybe need to get up early like that, whether you have a podcast or you're a talent or a wrestler, whatever it is. I think creative people need to get up early in general just to have that moment to themselves and set the pace for the day. Like for you, you're like, get everything out of the way so I can go back to my place. And then for me, it's like, I don't know where I'm going to be at in my mental health in any given day. So for me, I realized if I wake up at 4, I have many hours to get myself together for whatever the day. And then if it just takes me 5 minutes and I'm good, awesome. But sometimes it takes hours for me to be like, oh, especially back in the day, like when I was on the road and stuff like that, my body would be hurting. The last thing I'd want, like it just took forever. So I think they look at getting up early as this like, oh, I can't even imagine. But if you don't have to get up at 4 people, but like just earlier to have that time to yourself. I think that we don't think about those things. And I've always been aware of it because of my mental health and trying to attack. I remember back in like 2011, I was like, what do I need to do? And I was like, dude, I just need to get up earlier.
Well, you know what it is? What you're really talking about is, and it makes all the difference in the world. What you're really talking about is you controlling the time rather than have the time control you. That's exactly what you're talking about. And what is the key word there? Control. and you can control it. So if you control the time and you know at 8 o'clock I'm going to do this, at 9 o'clock I'm going to do this, at 10 o'clock I'm going to do this, rather than wake up and now it's chaos. Now there aren't enough hours in the day to get done what I need to get done. So it really does come down to control. It really comes down to just controlling your time.
You amen to that, because I grew up in a household where my mom was habitually late, but she would take it out, those frustrations, on, "Hurry up, Shelly." Da, da, da. So I grew up feeling like I always have to rush.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I've been, to this day, I still try to work on. I've gotten a lot better, but I've noticed that I make a lot of mistakes when I'm rushing.
Mm-hmm.
The anxiety and panic and feeling unsafe sucks. And
Mm-hmm.
so then those triggers are going on. Well, at the same time, you're trying to get whatever you're being hurried to be done and complete. And it's like a whole thing. Oh, just talking about it right now is freaking me out. But it's like, that's another reason why I wanted to get up early, because I would think about that. I don't want to be rushed. I don't want anyone to rush me. It's funny. I watch this channel, Me TV. They have all the throwbacks. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
aware of
Oh,
Me
yeah,
TV.
of course. Yeah.
And then one of the commercials they have is different sound bites from different shows. And I believe it was a MASH. I think it's MASH. I'm not sure, but it's a sound bite and it says, "Stop rushing me. You're making me nervous." And it's like, yes, dude,
Yeah.
stop rushing me. You're making me nervous. And taking, you saying that it's taking control of time, now all the dots are connecting for me, because that was fine. Every time I've been consistently getting up early, I have felt more in control of my life, therefore making better decisions and in a better place, versus when I don't. And
Yeah.
that's where it starts from, is having control of time.
And even when you have control of time, it leads into a problem, because this is what has happened to me. And like, I don't even know how I got into this. And it's something that needs to be corrected, because like I told you, my podcasting starts every day at 8 o'clock. Okay. Whether it's one show, two show, three shows, however many shows I have. And I try to be done by noon. That's what I try to do. I try to be done by noon. Somehow or another, with my schedule over the years, I'm done at noon, but then I got to go back at 6 o'clock and start all over again. And that's, I don't even know how it got into that. I guess I got into that by never being able to say no. I don't know about you. And listen, I am not a guy that, believe me, money is the least important thing to me. It really, really is. But I have problems with leaving money on the table. And, in my case, because I always think about, something happens to me, my wife, she's going to have what's left. You know what I mean? So I always think about that. Oh man, I'm going to pass up doing this for a couple $100. And I get so guilty that I can't pass that up. But I am getting to the stage in life, and you're nowhere near this stage. I'm getting to the stage of life. I'm going to be 65 in January, where now my time and the value of my time just supersedes everything. Because I think when you reach a certain age, I think mortality kicks in. I think you start realizing I'm closer to the end than I am to the beginning. And I think what really starts becoming very important to you is, I'm only going to do the things that I want to do. And I'm sure you're the same way, man. Throughout my entire life, other people were in control of my life. Being in the wrestling business, we got to be here at this time. You got to be on a plane. You got to do this. You got to do that. And we put in so much time and sacrificed so much time and took so much time away from ourselves, that I just believe the older you get, every minute is valuable to you. And that's what I'm really working on. I'm really working on eliminating things one by one by one, so I have that time to myself to do whatever I want.
Here's the thing. I just want to say this because I do. I've been praying for a sign, and you right now breaking that down right now is God's confirmation to me, to my private conversations I've been having with him, that this is my confirmation. So thank you for that. Because as the good old Bible says, the true renewal of faith is doubt.
Mhm.
And so I just want to say here on this Friday, thank you, Lord. Second of all, I get it. And here's the thing. I don't know if I've told you this before. I might have, maybe not. My obsession with vampires stems from my death anxiety. And so I feel like me being hyper aware of death since I was a kid and around disgusting situations that and seeing things I shouldn't that just traumatize me, that has always been my thing. That's why vampires to me were appealing because I was like, they don't die. And to me, having that death anxiety since a kid, whatever. So that's in a way what's always saved me, because when I've been presented going down this road or this road, what stopped me going from that road is my death anxiety and everything that comes with it, making everything very real, right? So going back to what you're saying, I think because I've been so hyper aware of that, I in the last specifically 4 years now, 3, 4 years, I'm like totally on that path. And then when I was on that path before, that was the Shelly that I was talking about before that I've been trying to reconnect with that used to get, or that was me in like my 30s, right? And so I've lived that life before, and that's when I was my most balanced. And then life happened, beat me up. I got in a bad mood for all these years after, right? And so I've really been trying to get back to that. And it goes back to exactly what you said right now. I get so caught up because my whole being has always been a hustle, whether it was modeling, acting, or being a wrestler or whatever. So my feeling safe to myself is you can't turn a gig down, like you're saying. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
hello, this is what I do. This is what I bring to the table. This is, especially when you have a family, it's like, this is what I'm bringing to the table to help the family out. So it's like inside you, it's your second nature to be like, you can't just be like, oh, so it's a very difficult thing to have to monitor and say, what is worth your time? What am I supposed, and it's not even about that. It's what am I supposed to be doing? Is this an alignment of what I'm supposed to be doing? Because if it's not, like in your case, I'm supposed to be out in my Jeep out there. That's what my true alignment is. So is it or not? And it's a hard thing, especially when you're that hustler and that's what you bring to the table. And I think that's why a lot of people in the entertainment business or any kind of people that have like that kind of mentality in whatever they do for their career, that's like one of the hardest things to do is to truly choose your peace and what brings you everything. And even if that costs not taking that gig over there
Yeah.
because you feel like, ah, like you said, leaving money on the table. Like
Yeah.
that's the best way to put it because that's how you're feeling. It's not like, oh no, I don't, it's fine. I'd rather be doing this. That's not what happens. It's like, I'm leaving money on the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not so simple to be like, oh, la di da.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
We have to have a conversation, because let's have a conversation. And maybe this is why this podcast was meant to happen today. And we were meant to be together and talk, because you said you have a death anxiety. I've got that same death anxiety. I have been a hypochondriac my whole entire life. I have an absolute fear of death. Now, here's where I get pissed off at myself, because you just mirrored my thoughts and my feelings. And it pisses me off, because at the end of the day, it really, really tells me the the death anxiety comes from not having absolute faith. Because you talked about, before you talked about a death anxiety, you talked about the Bible and the God and praying. Okay. Well, if we had 100% absolute faith in God, there would be no death anxiety. And that's where I'm always fighting with that, because as a Christian, I want to have 100% faith in God. And part of that faith would be not fearing death. Because, you brought up the Bible. Listen, man, the Bible makes it crystal clear. This world that we live in is hell. This world that we live in is run by the devil. This world that we live in is all about money, power, greed, and ego that nobody experienced better than you and me in the wrestling business. That is this world. And a lot of people say, well, how come God doesn't intervene? How come God doesn't do this? And how come God doesn't do that? Because people don't understand. Okay. Go back to Genesis. Okay. God created man and woman and put them in the Garden of Eden, paradise, the perfect world, everything we needed. You never did. You didn't age. You didn't get sick. There was no war. It was absolute paradise. And all he said, the only order from him was, obey me, obey me. And what did we do? We did not obey him, and we sinned. And when you go back to Adam and Eve and they brought sin into the world, that's why we live in the world we live in. That is on us. We went against God and we sinned. And from that moment on, we have to deal with sin. So God knows full well the world that we live in. And this world, I really believe, is just, it's a learning ground. It really is a learning ground. And we have to try to somehow, manage our way through it, go through the peaks and go through the valleys and the good times and the bad times, and just somehow navigate our way through it. I believe the meaning of life is, and this is what I think everybody should be concentrating on, and I really do concentrate on this. I believe this is the meaning of life. God created every single one of us for a reason. Okay, when you think about it, is God really going to create you if there's no purpose for you? Do you really think God is going to waste his time and give you life when he has no meaning for you whatsoever? So I believe every single one of us will put here with a purpose. I always look at it like as a giant jigsaw puzzle. We are all a piece of the puzzle. And the meaning of life is to have that ongoing relationship with God, like you said, through reading his word, through praying, and searching, what is it that you put me here for? What is it that only I can accomplish for you and your kingdom? That's what life is all about. And that's what the concentration should constantly be about, is what is my purpose here? You created me. There's nobody else like me. There's a job that only I can do. What is that job? What is it that you want me to do? That is the meaning of life. And then, once this journey is complete, the Garden of Eden awaits us. And I mean, that is crystal clear in the Bible, that we're not living for this life. We're living for eternal life. That's what we're living for. And that goes back to peace, love, understanding, no war, no sickness, no hate, no crime, a perfect, peaceful world. That's where we are going to rest as long as we are believers. So that's why I always struggle with, if that is the case, and I do believe that wholeheartedly, wholeheartedly, then why is it so difficult to get over this fear of death when the reality of it is we are going from hell to heaven? I mean, that's really, my hang up is this, and I want to get your thoughts on this. I think my biggest fear of death is missing the people behind. And let's face it, when I say the people behind, I'm only talking about my family. I really am. I'm talking about my wife. I'm talking about my 3 kids. I'm talking about my grandkids. That's really what I'm talking about. Like, oh my God, like the thought of not seeing them and the thought of, just missing them. That really is the fear. But again, that's always the struggle with me is absolute faith means you believe in his word, you know what this world is, you know what the afterlife is, and it really is, it is absolute faith. We are failing to have absolute faith if we have that fear of death. And that always bothers me because I do believe without a shadow of a doubt, but I guess I don't believe as much as I should if I fear death.
A couple things. First of all your points, I totally 1000% get and agree with. For me, even in my darkest times, I've never not known God to be in my life. I've never been one of these people to be like, and no offense, when I say these people, I'm not me trying to be a jerk, but like, I'm not a person that came to God later in life. I'm not a person that came to God and like late. Oh, sorry, I got thrown off right now. You know what? I'm getting so distracted right now, and I know why. So I'm gonna just take a breath for a second. So I've never not and I've never been or one of these people that are like, "God, how can you do this?" or whatever. Because anytime something ugly has happened to where there should be every reason to say that,
Mhm,
I've always felt like it's somehow, some way God's will. So I've always been that person.
mhm,
And for me, my struggle is I don't know if I'm supposed to be praying to Jesus or not. Because years ago in 2011, I've always resonated with the Old Testament. I grew up Christian household. I grew up in a Christian school. Um, Even though a lot of it was shady, I'm really grateful because like I said, I've never not known God to be in my life. Like never. Like I've never that's just my relationship with God started from my earliest memory. Like that's just it. And that's what saved me, like I said, when I'm at these crossroads, is I've been afraid as growing up in that because the church I grew up in, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it was a very cult-like kinda church. So, there's a lot of brainwashing, and I had that Christian guilt hard, and so when I'd be at these crossroads, I'd be like, "I don't wanna go to hell. I don't wanna go to hell," that death anxiety. So that's what made me solely not go this way and then go this way. So my fear of never want not messing up because growing up, it's like, if you mess up, you're gonna go to hell, you're gonna go to hell. So that being in like, just on me all the time, I was always afraid to go to hell, so that's a part of the death anxiety because like, "Oh, I messed up, and am I gonna go to hell for this little thing?" And then when 2011 came around, resonated with the Old Testament, long story short as I can make it, that's when I learned about the Messianic Jewish community, AKA Jews for Jesus. And there was an app I found at the time because this is 2011. So this is like before apps were a thing. And that's what they promoted. And it was really cool because I was like, dude, as a Christian, I should know these Jewish roots that Jesus had. And so it totally made sense. And to this day, that's the like church, I guess you'd say I go to. But there's come a time, so, like, integrating the Jewishness into what I've always believed, and they're Jews for Jesus, so they pray about, mm, I'd say 12 years or so ago. I was like, "What am I supposed to be, though?" Like, I know they always say, "Only through me should you go before the Father," but it's still not saying, "So you gotta pray to me." And what I've learned on, embracing the Judaism was how the Bible wasn't so textbook like I thought growing up, and revisiting reading the Bible, and over and over, I realized different times in my life, I was like, "Dude, that story means something completely different to me." So then as I was growing and reading the Bible as an adult, and especially during wrestling, like, I was always in the word because I was freaked out the entire time. Unbeknownst to people, I was, like, privately always reading it. So anyways, it's been there with me in those journeys, and it made me relate to it differently. I was like, "Oh, it's like a parable." So then when I'm, like, questioning all these things, I'm just like, okay, and then it turned into, when I pray, I'd be like, "God, if I'm supposed to be praying through Jesus, I'm so sorry." Like, I literally say this to him. I'm like, "I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to disrespect you, but, like, I'm also not trying to disrespect you by doing that. Like, I don't know what to do. I need to sign. I need to sign. I need to sign." So that's where my doubting of my faith is Jesus. And, like, I've learned when I was more Christ-like, AKA Christian, being Christ-like, that's what made me be that well-balanced gal, especially that was when I went back into the indies, and people, you knew me around that time. People used to be like, "Oh, Shelly's so positive. She's so positive and this and that." And that's because I knew the Lord was using me to just give lights. That's it, nothing deep. I didn't have to have deep conversations with people, just giving the, even if it was just giving somebody a hug and that love radiated, and it wasn't from me, it
Mhm,
was the Lord. And
mhm.
I would openly talk about that stuff back in the day too. So I've been there, but then, like I said, like about 12 years ago, I'm like, wait a minute, am I supposed to be saying these prayers to Jesus or not? And I'm just like, that is my struggle. And then thirdly, I've died before. And my fear has been exactly what you said, detaching from my sister, because my sister is 9 years younger than me. I've been taking care of her since she was born. We have this bond forever and ever and ever, and my fear was, if I die, what if, like, I don't remember her because it's just a different state of being and this and that, and when I died, it freaked me out even more when I came
You
back.
you gotta talk to me about that for a second. When you say,
Yeah.
"I died," please explain that before you go further,
Okay.
so I
I've been
understand.
very open about this.
Yeah.
So long story short, I used to date this actor, and he and we would like to, medicate and have wine. And I remember one night my wine looked weird. I don't know. That's all I remember. I was like, this looks weird. And then next thing I realized, it was the next day, like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And when I remember that wine, it was like 9 o'clock at night the night before. So I go to take a shower, and then all of a sudden I come out of the shower and I just remember saying his name. And then all of a sudden, I wasn't,
This is the next day at 4 o'clock.
yes.
Okay, okay.
So all of a sudden, I am in this, I don't want to say room, and it's so cliche, but that's the only way I can describe it to the human brain so they can envision it. It's kind of like this infinite room with this blue hue. And then there was the light. And I remember I wasn't Shelly. It was weird. It was like, I wasn't Shelly. I was just my soul. And so I remember hearing my thoughts, and I was saying, "This feels so good." And when I was saying that, there was this like warmth that I can't even explain to you because it wasn't a body physical feeling. It was this, it was just this being, man, and I knew it felt so good. And then it was like, not the thought I had a choice, but the feeling. It was all feelings, no thought. It was just feeling thought didn't exist. Like when I said I could hear my thoughts, it was like, it's not like a movie where it was like a narrative. It was a feeling, but the only way I can describe it right now is saying thoughts because there was no words coming out, but it was all feelings. And the next feeling I got was, you have a choice to continue to go or to go back. And then I remember looking down and I saw this girl and I felt so sorry for her. My heart broke for her. I didn't know why, but it felt like, oh God, I can cry right now. It felt like she needs me.
Mm.
So I decided to go back. And then I went like this. And then that dude was over me and he was like, "Oh my God, your body went gray. Oh my." And then get this. He goes, "It was like on my show," because he was on a TV show. And I'm thinking, show? What? So, um, yeah, dude. And so after that, when I registered all that, I was like, I didn't think about Danielle once. And that freaked me out. I was like, does that mean she doesn't exist when, like, you get reunited? Like, is that not true? Or maybe I just didn't go far enough, but it freaked me out to no end and added to my death anxiety.
But see, now when you're describing that source, first of all, let me tell you, I 1,000,000% believe that story. There is not a doubt in my mind. I'm sure you've had people, looking at you cross-eyed that you're crazy. No, we've heard that story 1,000,000 times before, and you beautifully described it because what you're really talking about is your soul. That's what it was. It was your soul. But I was getting the impression that when you saw that little girl that needed your help and you felt so bad, I was getting the impression that that was your sister and that you were sent back to take care of your sister. That was my takeaway. So what I would say to you is, you had the choice, and at that point, your sister needed you. And you saw this little girl down below and you felt so bad, and it was like, I have to go back. And what I would say is, when that situation arises again, okay, that little girl might not be there. And you might be able to follow the warmth and follow the light and go where you want to go. And that would tell me, that would be God telling you, she's okay. I will take care of her. I mean, that's how I would look at that situation. So you didn't believe the girl that you were looking at down below was your sister, and that you needed to continue to take care of her.
I always was like, oh, it was me. It makes sense. But hold on. First of all, this part I got to edit out. So I'm going to say that.
Go ahead. Because you wind up saying to yourself, man, it really can't be that bad if the purpose of this is to bring me closer to God. And that's when you start searching with praying. And like you said, God, what is this supposed to be showing me? What are you telling me through this? What is the life lesson through this that will help bring me closer to you? Because that's this entire journey. We're all working on ourselves. I really believe this. We need to be ready for heaven. Like, it's going to be a total, you were there. I mean, what you explained, we need to be ready for that. And this is like a training ground, and everything in life is a lesson. And that's why when you could start looking at the negatives as with that silver lining, there's valleys and there's peaks and there's valleys, but everything is designed to bring me closer to him. So what is he telling me in this experience? And I got to tell you, and this is where the human part comes in and makes it so damn difficult, because we're human. We're human. We're flawed. We're sinners. We're not perfect. And that's what makes it so difficult. But as people that believe in God, what do we always want, which is so hard to do? It is so freaking hard to do. We want to represent God. We want people to look at us and see God through us. And you talked about it when you went back in the wrestling business, whether it's a hug, whether it's a hello, whatever it is. That's what we want people to stop and say, wait a minute, something's different with that person. Because if that were me, I would be really pissed off. And that person's not pissed off. And that person's not arguing with me. And that what that does is that really forces people to examine themselves. If you're in a argument with somebody and you keep that in mind, I'm supposed to be representing God. I want people to see God through me. All of a sudden you're in that argument and now you take the high road. And now that person is looking at you saying, wait a minute, that's not what her reaction is supposed to be. She's supposed to be yelling and screaming like I'm yelling and screaming. And then when you're not, that really makes them look at themselves and evaluate themselves and say, why am I this way when that person was being that way? And from what I'm hearing from you, I just get the feeling that whether it's jealousy or whatever it is so hard because we're human. So many times we just want to say, F you, F off. That's what we want to do. But I tell everybody this all the time, man. The hardest thing in my life, I swear to God, was when I became a Christian, because at that point, everything was the complete opposite of what I've been doing my whole entire life. I felt like everything I was doing was against the grain. It wasn't how I normally would have handled it. It's not how I normally would have done it. And that's why I feel, it's going to be a process. No other customer is going to come in. It's too late. I swear to you, I heard an audible voice. And the audible voice was, look at you. Look how black your heart has become. I absolutely heard that. And like I said, from that moment on, like everything about me changed. Do you know I left TNA the first time because that happened to me? All of a sudden, when I went back to TNA after that, I started seeing it for what it really was. And I'm like, I can't be here right now. I can't live in this world right now. And I swear to you, the only reason I went back was because Jeff's wife was dying of cancer. And I knew he had 3 little kids. And I'm like, I got to go help him out. I knew what he was going through. But when my eyes opened up and I saw what the business was, man, I could not be in it for another day.
Everything you said, yes. And it's crazy because the way I've been handling it is I get into this mode that I used to have to get into when I had to share a locker room with someone I did not like, that screwed me over, that I have every reason to dislike. I'd have to coexist in there. And I would still show them kindness, but with boundaries, They weren't gonna get the, "Hey," but the, "Hi, how are you doing? That's hi, have a nice day." Like, whatever. So, it's funny how you bring up wrestling in that sense because I've used my traits of surviving in the locker room with people I don't like, but not letting them ruin my time or my
Right.
vibe. So that sounds like I got treated like a locker room brother, like a locker room, like somebody that I don't like. And then I started thinking of when I had to interact with people I didn't like, but the reason why I didn't like them was because of what they have said or done to me. But then there would be these times where I just felt, like, bad for them. I don't like her, but I feel sorry for her. So, I've shown and she's done me dirty. I have reason not to like her, but I feel sorry for her. Burned me twice, actually. So there's that. Like, I forgave her, da 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 da, and then she burned me again. So I thought, okay, I gotta treat her. And then when I did, I started thinking, okay, the reason why I gave grace because I looked at her as just a person. Like, she's working with what she's got. She kinda doesn't know any better. So that's why. Because I remember one time I told her off privately, and I was like, "You have no" I was drunk. I was like, "You have no idea how much I love you, but you're such a bitch to me." But it's true. Said that feeling I had when I looked down and I felt that for over a year now, there's been different times where that's how I felt, and then that was, like, the Lord kinda, like, breaking me to be like, "Come on." And then we ended up in this whole conversation, so I just praise God for using you to help me out because this is and then on top of, like, whatever God's will is for both of us in this situation, I know it's the devil using the situation as well to just take me off course,
Yep.
F me up so hard,
Yep.
and this and that and the other, and so there's that whole spiritual battle that I've been like, whatever, and so it's just been, like, a lot, man, and trickling effects that, like, happen with it, and it's interesting what you said about, like, once you saw everything because that's exactly what happened to me when I became aerial because people didn't realize that I had a relationship with God and the way I aesthetically looked, they thought I was down with the devil and I just wasn't. So that introduced a lot of opportunities for people to have weird conversations with me or put me in weird positions and I'm like, "No, dude, like I love Jesus."
Yeah.
Like, you know? So maybe that can make you understand when we work together at TNA why I kinda had this I really don't give a F attitude, like, and some people looked at it like I was being too big for my britches, but I felt so betrayed, like, it's more than just as a wrestler, it is way more, it's my soul, but yet at the same time, I knew that I was put there for that's why when I stepped up to freaking Batista, I knew that it was a spiritual warfare, and what's so crazy about that is later on understanding all of that and everything, and then it's like he was Leviathan in OVW, so it's like, "Whoa, that is so
Yeah.
crazy,"
Yeah.
and then when we made amends, it was on 11/11/11, and it was at the Immortals premiere, that movie. I had went with my girlfriend to the red carpet. We got invited because we were like, local actresses and me in the wrestling. And so he was there and I went up to him and that's when we had a conversation. We took this little picture. I was like, let's show the internet that we're cool, like whatever. And then I had no idea what Immortals was going to be about. And then it was a whole movie about good and evil. And then I had a panic attack in there because I was thinking, Batista is in this room watching the same movie I am right now. This is wild. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It is so crazy. And so fast forward to everything, it's like that's why I've been how I have been towards the wrestling business because once that veil was lifted and, like, I see it now and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, it's so much worse because there's so much more power and money to be had."
Sit here and like I always say this, and I'm telling you, I was very, very, very conscious of it when I got into it. When I first got into it, I'm telling you, I within a matter of weeks, I saw the wrestling bubble. I got a wife at home. I got kids at home. This is a job. Been in that world, and I was able to get through it because it was a job. And like I said, man, I did try to make a difference, but it was just so overwhelming, and it still is to this day. Why? Like, I swear to God, when I look at this, and here's what I get all the time. I swear to God, oh, you're so bitter because the WWE won't hire you. I'm like, are you out of your effing mind? The thought of going back to that world, oh my God, it literally, to me, it would be like going to hell.
I agree with you because there was a time where I was so broke, right? And I was like, okay, let me try to get my job back at WWE. So I was in touch with them and they booked me to be a Rosebud. And it was like a little show that was in Northern California. So I go trying to be a good sport, right? I'm thinking, well, hello, I was on one of your main rosters, but I'm a Rosebud, fine. And long story short, the first thing that happens, I open the door and there's, oh God. And he was like, oh, and here's the thing. I'm, I'm human, so I can be a little petty, okay? I like that as much as people try to bring him up to me, unlike Batista, because no one brings me up to Batista, I'm pretty sure of that. But people, without realizing it, bring me up to him, but it's not like fans. It's like people who like know both of us somewhere, not like some model girl or some actress or some musician. And they're like, oh yeah, my friend Shelly Martinez. So, and then I always get back, his face like went white. So I like went through and I just, I'm sorry, but the fakeness and the brother, and this and that. And I was like, oh, so I went into the locker room, ate an edible, and put vodka in my Gatorade and just went from there and had a good old time. I was like, "Hey." And so I went up to people that I had grievances with, except Chris, and, I hashed things out with them. I was like, like I confronted some people and like we had positive conversations. There was one girl I really owed a apology to because back in the day I stiffed her really ugly. And when I first saw her, she's like, you're the first person to ever give me a concussion. And I was like, oh my God, like no. So I was able to squash a lot of heat. I went out there and had a fun time being a rosebud. But my point is, I thought it had changed, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, here's my chance." And when I saw that, even though I shouldn't have been drinking, the edible I don't regret, but the drinking I shouldn't have done. That's unprofessional. So it's like, it triggered me though, and then what did it do? It put me right back into the, like, I had to lower my vibration by having some alcohol because the only way I was gonna be able to survive the rest of that day was I had to lower my vibration. Lower my vibration by having some alcohol because the only way I was gonna be able to survive the rest of that day was I had to lower my vibration.
Yeah.
And that's what wrestling started doing with me is like,
Yeah.
I started drinking too much because I kept feeling like, "Oh, I gotta lower my vibration," and like, "Oh, to be around these people, the only way I can be at least pleasant to some of these people, I gotta take a shot, boom, okay," and then like, "Oh." So
It's funny, even bringing you bringing you back to be a rosebud. That's to humiliate you. That's to,
I know!
that's what I love about the wrestling. I swear to God, the one thing that makes me go hysterical is always this: they test you. I'm like, it's wrestling. Who are you testing?
Who are
You're
you
testing me in
testing?
professional wrestling. Like, are you out of your mind? It's it'll never change, man. It's just different people, man.
Here's the test. The test was when I was Ariel and I pulled through and I got released for not related to me not being able to whatever. That was the test. Like test passed. Like, okay, there's just one question I have for you. And it's something I'm so scared of. So we have to get this in and then I'll let you go. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So we're back. We had a private conversation you guys couldn't handle. So oh well. And now that we're back, I have been so nervous about what I'm about to ask you for years. I've went to text you this and then I delete it. For years, I went to DM you this and then I deleted it.
Uh-oh. Is it?
For
It's not boxes or briefs, is it?
no.
Okay, all right.
So we were talking about wrestling, brother, of course.
Yeah.
And I was telling you about some times where I was really pathetic. And there was a time where I did something so pathetic that it's so cringeworthy. And when I thought about this moment that I didn't realize I was pathetic, in my head, the way I remembered it was not as cringe as it was. And what it is when you were at TNA I had already quit. I had been gone for a little bit. I was trying to get my job back, and I went and made a YouTube video, and it was called "To Vince Russo with Love." Do you recall this?
I do not.
Oh my God, it's so pathetic. So it's 3 minutes long. Let's watch it because I want to
Oh,
know.
yeah, great.
I'm so scared. I'm so scared.
Tremendous. Let's watch
I'm
it.
so scared.
Great.
I'm so scared.
No,
Okay.
are you kidding me? This is awesome, man.
No, but I'm so pathetic.
No.
All right, here we go. Let's see here. Oh my God.
So how long ago is this?
This was 14 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It says here.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. It says, since I can't be physically in front of you, I thought I would do the next best thing, smiley face. I look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Oh, let's see. This
God,
is great.
I'm so scared.
Hola, Vince Russo. Long time no see. Well, you can see me, but I can't see you, but that's beside the point.
I can't really hear it. Is there any way you could turn it up?
Let's see here. Do I
could hear it.
And here I am on Hollywood Boulevard. We're just Saturday night every day. Like today, Captain America premiere. I should be on that red carpet as well now, don't you think?
The music's incredible. Incredible.
Even Superman wants my
That's-
greatest wrestler in the world. So let's get down to business, Vince Russo. Let me tell you something. I thought, what better place in Hollywood to be than a Marilyn Monroe star with a Hollywood Walk of Fame? And to pitch you an idea is so funny, you don't even know it. So picture me, right? Hernandez is come on, ready to go out to the ring. Hit his opponent. I come up with sombrero and all, as Selena's had at all times. And I'm not good enough, and I left him. And who am I to do all these things? And that's when I seen just deteriorate right in front of your eyes, and then you see Serena and Rosita. And with Cookie sees that she wants to be,
No.
that's when attacked you again. Let me tell you something. Anytime I've been at an event where me and Cookie are at, whether it's the Wrestle Reunion or any other signings, I say, when are you guys going to tag team? You guys are so perfect together. The world kind of cancels. So, when are you guys going to tag team? On Twitter, in all the wrestling sites, all the fans on the
Oh my God.
I figure, I'm gonna pay to get the fans exactly what they've been wanting. Even when they said they figured after the Cookie and Selena's giving a Shelly, we put together, you tell the name. But I think this is funny.
Can I tell you what really sucks about that? Can I tell you what really sucks?
What?
I never saw that.
Oh,
That-
thank God.
that-
Thank God.
No, not thank God, because that somehow, I don't know if you used the TNA email address. I don't know what you used. That never made its way to me, because if it made its way to me and your name was on it, I would have definitely watched it. And I'm just telling you honestly, that would have been so over with me for a couple of reasons, and I'm being as honest as I possibly can be. First
Okay.
of all, you know I was always a fan of yours. You never had any heat with me ever whatsoever. And number two, I would have really, really, really appreciated the effort. I really would have. And now I'm just kind of pissed off because I never saw that. So, I mean, what happened? Did you ever make your way back?
No, never. I kept trying to go back. Here's the thing. So when I realized, no, this was before. Okay, yeah. I can't remember the timeline. If this was when I realized that, no, I was trying to think. Okay, anyways, I was trying to get my job back. End of story. I was super.
Wait, hold on. Please refresh my memory. Why did you lose it in the first place?
I quit.
Okay.
And the reason why I quit, when I first signed my contract, I remember at the time I was friends with Nova and he was working office for WWE. So I really took like his advice serious. So I was like, dude, they're hardly paying me anything in this contract. And so I sent it over for him to look at. And he goes, just sign it and you can always renegotiate. And I was like, okay. So I signed it. Fast forward, it was close to a year later, and I knew that my contract was gonna be up, and it was either they were gonna not renew it, or if they renewed it, that I was gonna get, like, $100 bump, and to me, that meant I was fine with it. Even though to is underpaid, I was like, I just that's helpful, I need an extra $100. So, I was really struggling during my time on, um, TNA, and when like, it was really hard for me, like, and it's my fault, like, I mean, I trusted Nova's word. I always have heat with Nova, that's why I always call as Nova's the one, but I did make the decision to do it. I should have renegotiated, especially because I was just coming off of TV. Hello, as soon as my clause was over, I was in TNA. So, there's that, but I just didn't know any better, and, like, it was a situation where, like, my gas was constantly getting turned off and things like that, so it was really rough.
Yeah.
And on the outside looking in, it's like, "Oh, I was Ariel, and then now I'm on TV with TNA, and then this whole thing's going on," right? So, if you remember correctly, I was a boy at first. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, they kept telling me I couldn't be on the house shows because I was a boy. I wasn't so they were like, "As soon as we reveal that you're a girl, we can put you on the house shows." And for me, that was gonna mean so much because I needed that payday. And then not only that, I really believe that me even though I had great magic, blue magic with, LAX,
Yeah.
we could have refined it even more so on the house shows, like, so it was like a win-win for Salinas. So when I was no longer a boy anymore, they never once put me on a house show. They kept saying that they were, and so I would go, like, on auditions and things like that.
Who was doing the house shows then? Was it Terry?
I don't remember. Maybe.
Yeah,
I
I
just
don't know.
remember they kept telling me that I was gonna be on the house shows.
Okay.
So I because what I was doing up until then is I was hustling here in town in Hollywood. Sometimes I would land from coming home from TNA right to auditions, like
Yeah.
no shower or anything. Like I was hustling because I needed the money.
Yeah.
So, and then I had that good TNA credit of like, oh, I'm currently on TNA going for me. So I started dwindling those down because they kept saying I was gonna be on these house shows, and I just never was, and I remember even Homicide would, like, go take up for me and be like,
Yeah.
"Hello, she needs to
Yeah.
pay her rent, like, come on." And they kept saying that they would, and the last minute, they would always have a reason to take me off. And then I got offered a lead in this film, and it was for 2 weeks that we were no, sorry, for 1 week that we were shooting, and at the time, LAX was feuding with Team 3D, and there was a pay-per-view coming up, and then after that pay-per-view, that was the week that I needed to be available for the shoot. So I asked Terry Taylor, I was like, "Hey, what if Bubba and Devon put me through a table at the pay-per-view and then I can be off of TV for the week? I can go film this film and then come back." And he was like, and the pay-per-view was in Canada, and he was like, "Just come to Canada and we'll talk about it." And to me, I was thinking, what am I supposed to do here? Because now I have a whole crew. It's like I'm the lead in this movie. So it's like a whole crew of people, like all this. They can't just like be like, okay, well, next week we'll do it. It's like, no, dude. So I was put in this really weird position. So then I said, look, my contract expires next month. Can you at least just renew it now? Give me extra $100 bump, and then I'll flake on this movie.
Yeah.
And he said no. So then I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to quit. And then that's how I quit.
God, see, half of this stuff, like I never even knew about. Like I don't even know that conversation takes place. But
That's what happened.
what I probably got was you quit because you wanted to go do a movie. That's what I probably got.
Yeah, and it's something that throughout my time after wrestling, I've really beaten myself up about. And around that time where I was really beating myself up about it was this video. And at the time, my sister and I and my two mini pinchers, Fred and Ethel Mertz. Oh, I miss you, babies. We were living in a studio apartment, all of us in Hollywood, right smack by Hollywood Boulevard. And I was in walking distance of the Chinese theater. So I made friends with the people out there that would like the Superman guy. And that Superman guy was known because he'd go on like Jimmy Kimmel sometimes. And like here in town, he was like RIP. He died a few years back. He was like a icon here in Hollywood. And so I gave him his tip money. I was like, hey, will you do this video? So I invested in the video.
No, I wish I would have seen it. I swear to God, I never saw it, man.
And what's hilarious is later in life, Rosita, she asked me because we were wrestling somewhere and was like, I just met her. And she was like, I saw this video once when I was with LAX. And it's like, were you mad at me or something? Because like, you know, and then she was talking and I was thinking she was talking about this video. And I was like, no, that was like this whole thing. And like, oh my gosh, can I just get to the point? Steam me up a cookie. Oh my God. It's so pathetic, but that's where I was at that same day. I did a shoot on Hollywood Boulevard and I was wearing a Wonder Woman outfit and I was wearing a sign that said, we'll wrestle for food. It was so deep. Like I was like, it was like a bad situation, but like, man, like I really was vibing with it. I was embracing what was presented to me. But yeah, I was begging for my job back. I thought I would go through you. And then when that didn't work, a couple years later, before that, maybe a year before that, I tried to pitch for me to be with Shannon Moore when he was doing his like glam. I pitched that. And then I did another video where I went out of my way and I went to freaking Spanky, Brian Kendrick's house. And he was with TNA at the time. And I did a little vignette with him and I sent it in to you.
I never saw any of these.
All these years, I thought, oh my God, what if Russo saw it and he was like, "What is girl's out of her mind?" And I've been so scared.
It would have been the complete opposite. And then I would have spoke to you and I would have found out that story about you doing the movie that I didn't know until now.
See, I was putting on overtime trying to get my job back at TNA. Through you.
I'd love to know where you were sending these videos.
I don't remember. To somewhere where I thought you for sure saw it. Okay, here we go. Here, let's just get to the Brian. Wait, is this the right one? Best day ever. Oh, here we go.
Last time you saw me, I was trying to find Brian Kendrick, and I was at that GXW show, and I was so close. Well, he just left. But you know what? It's okay. You know, I am a firm believer. All of you guys know I'm a firm believer, and everything happens for a reason. Really excited.
I know, me too.
It's the best day ever.
Yeah. Right now.
Oh gosh.
Yay, we're here. Can't get us though. It's all good.
You sure? I mean, there's a pizza stand down the place.
I know, and we'll get pizza.
Okay.
When we get this whole thing with Brian, we'll get pizza. We'll celebrate after.
Okay. Hey, pizza's sounding really good.
I know, we'll get it. Number. I don't recognize it though.
I know, I don't answer those either.
I really should. Sometimes I should, but like, I don't know.
I got bills, you know.
Me too. With voicemail.
Oh, really?
That's why you know it's like not all the way shady. Like,
I have no idea where this is going. I just remember the Brian Kendrick part.
Okay. Okay.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh my gosh, Brian! Finally! Oh my gosh, Brian! Finally! Oh my gosh!
How you been?
You have no idea. I have been searching for you, and it's like totally meant to be that like this is happening right now. You know,
You're flattering.
I'm telling you, like I just want to tell you something. Like I don't know if you know this, but like back in the day when you know UPW in those days, like I used to see you, and I just like there were stars in my eyes.
It's true.
For real, stars. You know why? Because it was like the passion you had for wrestling. I hear like you were sleeping in cars and like. I wanted to be a wrestler. And here you are. And like, oh my God, it just took my breath away. So like throughout my career, it really stuck with me. And you know, I made it. I mean, we know what happened. You were there, but I made it.
You did. You've done great. I'm just the guy.
But still, you're the guy. You were the guy that like, I'm the girl to say that I did make it.
Yeah. No, you did great.
I'm the girl to say that.
Get to the point, Shelly.
You've always been a leader. Serious. You're the leader.
Thank you, Shelly.
But the thing is I think you're missing something. You need somebody to be like me. I believe in you. I was successful at being a wrestler, and it was because of you.
Oh, it's because of you.
This was the pitch.
Because of you. And now I'm here today to tell you I want to help you. Let's show them the leader you are. If I help you, everyone's going to know. Everyone. The internet, there's people. We talk about you. We talk about you all the time.
Nice.
All the time. But they need to know. Because they've never given you the credit you deserve. You slept in the cars. You starved. You slept on people's floors.
Yeah.
Not everyone in this business has done that. That's why I always talk highly of you.
I just did what I had to do to be a wrestler.
I know. That's why I want to help you.
What do you think?
You just tell me yes, and we'll go from there. Think about it.
Think about it.
Oh man, I swear to God, I wish I would have seen these, man. Seriously, because it's funny because what's he doing nowadays? Do you even know?
I do believe he's still running he has a little promotion that's real cool. It's fun, kind of like comedy vibes to it.
In California?
Yeah.
Because I was a huge fan of his. And that's why, like, if I would have seen the two of you together, I mean, it definitely would have been more positive than negative. I never saw any of those, man.
And that's all a true story. I remember when I first started, what enchanted me with the wrestling is hearing stories about freaking Spanky over here, freaking Brian Kendrick. Like you'd hear about Spanky all the time. And he was like such the big deal. And it wasn't because he was walking around being like, I'm Spanky. It was people who trained with him, people that did shows with him. They were all like, yeah, man, Spanky's out there doing it. Because back in the day, the SoCal scene in the early 2000s in wrestling, it was scarce. It wasn't like how it was in the East Coast, the Midwest, even in other countries. It was such a like need to know basis kind of thing to where somebody like myself didn't even know how to be a wrestler, and that there was wrestling schools and there was independent shows. I would have been going to them all the time, but it just wasn't really the thing. So the fact that I mean, I know he's like not from here, but the fact that he was training here and made his mark here and the SoCalers embraced him so hard. It was so cool when he would go off and do these cool things. And it was him and a couple other people, and you'd hear these stories, and I would just be like, I want that. Like, I want to know how it feels to have to sleep in the car. Like, I wanted to sacrifice that hard because I didn't know in my head, but going back to that feeling, I had this feeling that doing stuff like sleeping in your car and what it does to you, that's part of being in the business. That's part of truly being in the business and paying your dues. So when I started doing that stuff, I'd always think of number one. And it's funny because when I said you're the leader, because my nickname for him was the leader. I call, oh, it's the leader. It's the leader.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
kind of giggled when I watched her. I know, oh, you're the leader.
yeah. Oh, God, that was good. That was great stuff, man. I wish I would have seen it.
The end was to the point finally, but I remember now it was supposed to be a whole thing where I was always looking, and that was the truth. At that time, no one really knew where Brian Kendrick was because he was kind of a low profile at that time.
Yeah.
So I literally was looking for Brian Kendrick for a while, and then he went to TNA, and that's when I think he had been there for a little bit, if I remember correctly. And then maybe there wasn't much going on, or I don't know what the case was, to where I was like, "Hey, I have this idea." And then like whatever. And then that was the little video I did. And that footage of me at a show, I was wrestled at some show, and I asked those people, I was like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing where I'm like looking for Brian Kendrick." So it was like a whole
Oh,
master plan
that's
thing I
great.
did.
That's
It was
great, man.
unbeknownst to you and to Kendrick until I told him about it. And then we did that little video.
Yeah, more people should do that. That's great. I love that stuff. Anything that's different and creative, I love that stuff. And those sunglasses were way over with me, man.
I still wear those types to this day.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, I all these years have been so scared for that first one to
No.
ask you.
Oh, you probably sent it to like a TNA, like maybe a Vince Russo TNA thing that like I probably never ever used.
I don't remember. I just
Yeah.
remember feeling full-heartedly that I sent it to you, and I was stalking you with like my content to try to
Oh God, I wish I would have seen it. Really, that was awesome.
I guess it wasn't meant, and that's fine, but
Now you know. Now
now
you
I
know.
know.
Yes.
And
yes,
knowing's half the battle, right?
yes. Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, I've taken up a lot of your time. Where can people see all your stuff?
Yeah, go to right now. I've been doing podcasting now for 10 years, russosbrand.com. And if you go to patreon.com/Russo TWC, you can get a free week and try us out. Patreon.com/Russo TWC.
All right. Well, there you have it, you guys. The king of the podcasts, the king of controversy in wrestling. But I know him as my homeboy, my friend,
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Always.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I cannot tell you what an impact hanging out with Mr. Russo, what like the impact it had on me, I should say. It sucks that day it was kind of a crazy day. So I'm there in my pajamas and my hair up at first. Whatever. I was there. I got the interview. That's all that matters. I hope you guys liked it too. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. All right. I think I'm going to go ahead and tap out because it's Labor Day and I need to go hang out. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm going to try to see if I can get it up today. If not, then for sure it'll go up tomorrow on Tuesday. And then later this week, I'll have another episode for you. Or wait, no, sorry. Next week, I'll have a new episode for you guys. So stay tuned for that. Until then, I'm Shelly from Cali. She's Minnie the Moocher. And we'll be smelling you guys later. Adios. Hurry back. Hurry back. And remember to bring your death certificates. Hurry back. Hurry back.
You a little bit nervous today?
Feel great.